Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Amaazen Outdoors. This podcast is being presented by Upland Outfitters, home of the Relentless pants, man. Those things are awesome. I had them out this week, and I pretty much, since I started the partnership with Jason, have been wearing those pants out anytime over the summer here where I had to do any work at the farm or dog training. I've even had them on the boat a little bit. They are tough as nails. I have yet to see a pull 'em thread. I've been in some nasty briars. They really held up a lot better than I thought. I can't recommend them enough. Hunting season is around the corner. Make sure you use discount code Amaazen, and I believe Jason is still offering 20% off on the Relentless pants. So pick up a pair before hunting season is upon us, and you're out in the woods with a ripped up pair of pants and sweating, unnecessarily, because Jason's pants and the Relentless pants are top notch and breathable, light. So you're going to want them this early season. Make sure you get them now. I also have a quick announcement. We've got another kind of temporary partnership with Chippewa River Custom Rods. Tom is going to be offering 10% off with discount code Amaazen 10, Amaazen 10, and it's all caps. If you decide to call him for a custom rod, just make sure you tell him that you heard about custom rods on Amaazen Outdoors Podcast, and he will make sure that you get hooked up with a discount. All that information for both sponsors and partners are going to be in the show notes, so please support the podcast and these great companies. They are really good partners for the podcast, and I would like to see our listeners support them as well. So look them up, Uplnd Outfitters and Chippewa River Custom Rods. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Amaazen Outdoors Podcast. I have a special update. We have a sponsor on board. I'm not even going to do an intro. This isn't even going to have a number assigned. This is Upland Outfitters joining the Amaazen Outdoors Podcast. Well, hello, everybody. I'm super excited. I have Jason, who's the owner of Upland Outfitters, who's decided to take a big shot and risk with being a sponsor here on the Amaazen Outdoor Podcast. So, Jason, who are you and what's your business? And thank you so much for coming on board with us.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for having me, and I'm excited for the opportunity and getting this thing going. Just a little background about me, I guess. I was in the Army for 12, 13 years almost, just right out of high school. And then I became a wildland firefighter with the Bureau of Land Management. And then after that, now I'm working city firefighter for the city of Calistoga in Napa Valley. And that's just kind of my background about who I am and what I do. And it also kind of got me into bird hunting.
So did you get into bird hunting just because you were outside all the time, or did you have family that kind of nudged you a little bit that way when you were a boy?
Well, growing up, I was like an avid fisherman. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, and there's just a lot of lakes and rivers all around. So my dad he worked for the natural resources, so he still is a big hunter and fisherman. But I think just access when you're younger, for me, it was just easier to get into fishing. My grandpa fished all the time. So I was a huge fisherman, kind of later in life into hunting, but really later into life in bird hunting. It wasn't until I became a wildland firefighter that I kind of got into bird hunting. The seasons just didn't match up to do any deer hunting or go scouting for it or anything. And out there fighting these fires, we used to protect like habitat for sage grouse in Nevada a lot, and we'd see a lot of birds all around, and it just piqued my interest at that point. So I started looking into it and kind of delving deeper into bird hunting at that time.
Did you, did you have a buddy or anything that had a dog, or did you just kind of stumble on a breed and off you went?
No, yeah, I kind of just started hunting actually for about a year and a couple seasons. And then I started looking into dogs because, frankly, it was, there's some guys out there that hunt without dogs, and all hands, they're good hunters because it's pretty rough without a dog. So I started researching dogs, and now I have two Deutsch Kurzhaars, which is German short hair pointer. I imported them. Just did a lot of research on what I wanted and landed on those type of dogs.
Yeah, they're the pinnacle of German short hairs, strict to the line. I don't know much about it. We've talked strict. A little bit about it, but we don't need to really go there. They're beautiful dogs, though. And I'd love to hook up sometime in Nevada and see them work. But So you Army guy, wildfire fighter. Now you moved on to city kind of firefighting and got into bird hunting, and all of a sudden now you're into the clothing business.
Yeah.
So there's a little gap. There's a little gap there. Like, how'd you come up with the idea, and why is it so meaningful to you? Be relentless is the kind of the mission or slogan for the company. So, give us a little insight into that, because I'll tell you right now, I'm wearing your pants and they're really comfy for even just lounging around the house.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. It kind of came up. So when I first got into bird hunting, I did the typical thing that, probably most everybody else does. I go to the stores and I buy the gear that, that they have for bird hunting. Well, you kind of go into these, stores, and there's really nothing for upland hunters. There's like a couple racks, and it all just looks like crap, and it all pretty much feels like crap. But I bought it anyways.
Yeah, especially if you use it. I mean, you can go to Cabela's or whatever and grab a pair of pants, and if you go out once or twice a season, they'll work for you.
It's miserable. It's absolutely miserable.
Yeah, they'll work for you hunt rougher country than I do. Up here, they'll work for you. But if you want to spend a few days in the season, there's not really that great of products out in the big box stores.
Exactly, and that's I guess I should reiterate. I'm out hunting in the West, so I'm up and down mountains a lot, and they just don't work. It didn't work.
Yeah,
it was miserable.
You need technical gear out there, and there was definitely a big gap in the market space for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started doing these hunts, wearing these pants. And I've always kind of been entrepreneurial without being, I always had these ideas. Oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. Never really followed through with anything. And one day on a hunt, I was out hunting with my dog, and she's racing up these mountains, finding birds. And by the time I got there, the birds had flushed. Hot, I'm miserable, and I just kind of sat down at the top of the mountain because I was tired and I was sweaty, and I had this kind of idea brewing in my mind that I kind of wanted to do it, and I just sat there and thought about it, and I just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna do it," and that was kind of the beginning of my pursuit. Looking into everything, and it's been a long. It's been a long 2.5 years, almost 3 years now for me to actually go from idea to product. A lot of tweaking, finding materials. It's just been kind of crazy. So that was kind of like the basis of the final moment of when I said, this is going to happen,
So you pushed it forward and you have a product now. And like I said, cool story. I really love it. And I love the slogan, "Be Relentless." And yeah, again, for the listeners, you're out hunting Nevada and California, out in valley quail and chukar country. So it's a little bit different than rough grouse hunting or hunting down in Kansas for bobwhites. But what is the product made out of? And the other, let me, I guess, back up to a big point that one of the reasons that the product speaks for itself, and that's why I was attracted to you, but in your personality, your story. But I love American-made products. I mean, it is a big passion of mine. I'm willing to spend extra money for something that is not only, put together in America, but sourced and manufactured from top to bottom. So, can you lay it out a little bit about the material and what the process is?
Yeah, I
and
can.
Give us a kind of the techie dump on that, a little bit of that.
Yeah, so the material is it's called Tweave Durastretch, and it's made on the East Coast. So originally, the little background info on the actual material. So Arc'teryx helped this company create this material back in the 90s, and it was just way too expensive. I think they made a couple pairs of pants with it. It was just way too expensive at that time for them to really do anything. So they made one pair of pants, and it never really sold, and they kind of just stuck it on the shelf. They never really did anything. And then Afghanistan hit off in 2000, and Arc'teryx had already had a military contract with Special Forces, and the military wanted a different pair of pants that would be rugged, thin, cool for hunting, or for hunting. For the mountains in Afghanistan. They didn't have anything like that at that time. And Arc'teryx ended up winning this contract, and they used this material. So now, you can go. Arc'teryx has their LEAF program, which is law enforcement. I'm trying to think what it stands for, but you can look it up. It's
Sure.
LEAF Arc'teryx.
Yeah.
And
I've got some of it up on, at least the technical specs on some of it, but it's a really breathable, durable product at the end of the day, and stretch, four-way.
And stretch. So it's super comfortable.
And might I add,
breathable,
wind resistant, which I found out in northern Wisconsin the other day when I was out on a sharptail lek, because it was windy, and it was in the upper 40s, and I was, again, surprised. I told you that earlier. I was really surprised how well they held up. So it's a really cool material.
It's really, really cool. And it took me a long time of talking to this company. They didn't really want to work with me, Upland Outfitters, small time, just getting started type of company. So it took almost a year of talking to them before they actually said that they would sell me some, which was interesting in and on itself. But I knew from the beginning that I wanted American made, and I also wanted American made material. It was just pretty important. I know it's not done. There's really no other hunting company out there that's doing it. I think there's maybe one more now that's actually using American made material. A lot of companies make their stuff in America, but it's just really not cost effective. But what you get is a superior product. I can go get a similar material in China and it's cheap for me, and I could charge, close to the same amount, but it's just not the same. And like you said, just wearing them, it speaks for themselves. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough good things.
I think if you had if there was a test drive program on them, you'd sell everybody pants. It's no brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we originally talked, I think I had said, the only way this works is if you love my pants. And I said, I have absolutely no worry that you're not going to love them. So, and I tell that to other people, you put them on, I guarantee you're going to love them.
I absolutely do. I told you too, my wife came to me the other day and she goes, are those your new favorite pants? Because you haven't washed them yet and you've had them on for 3 days. I mean, I cutting the grass, out taking the dogs for a walk, looking for sharp tails up north. Yeah. Driving in the truck, they speak for themselves.
And more on that, I made them the way I did also because I want to wear them out in other situations. I want to be able to go to the bar after I go bird hunting. I want to be able to go do whatever I want to do in them. So I purposely built them in a way that they don't look like hunting pants. I'm not a fan of camouflage really. I know a lot of people are, and that's okay. But, I purposely built them. I didn't put logos all over them. So there's not all this crazy stuff. I wanted a pair of pants that will be multi-functional.
Yeah, I can definitely. Well, I actually, now that I think about it, I had these on underneath my waders one day when I was out trout fishing, and I can easily see myself wearing these in the morning in a drift boat up in Wisconsin where it's like 65 degrees in the summer. And I haven't gotten them totally wet yet, but I imagine this stuff just dries out super fast. The material it's made out of, I can't imagine it holds
it dries out super fast. It does have a DWR on it, so it will shed water. But if you're getting them super wet, they're eventually going to soak through. And I'll be probably the only person to ever say this at the clothing manufacturer, that DWR is kind of a marketing gimmick. It washes out eventually. It is a really good DWR, so it will last in there a long time. But it's kind of a marketing unit.
I'm not saying everybody that buys these pants should go, dunk them in water and ride them around.
That's right.
But you can take them out fishing is my point, because you're not gonna. They're cool enough. You're not going to overheat, and if you get some water on them, they're going to dry out really fast.
Super fast. And the other nice thing about them too is the way that they're woven. They're woven pretty tightly. So even if I have material that doesn't have any DWR protection on them and stuff that does, and you can pour a bottle of water on each pair, and you can't even tell the difference because it's still going to shed water off of it.
That's pretty kick-ass because up here and even in Kansas during the early season, dew's a factor, and knowing that you can wear these pants out and you're not going to get soaked ankles if you go through a little bit of dew, it's a good thing to know.
Yeah, and I wore them in Nevada in snow, and they were completely dry the whole time. I had snow in my boots. My boots were wet. My socks were wet. My pants were dry, which is it's pretty nice when there's snow on the ground and you can still wear them.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I got a little fast on the mute button. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, I actually said I don't think anybody heard me, but you said they were worked really well in the snow, and I said, well, that lasts like 6 months out of the year for me.
Oh yeah. That's what. So I was saying, I've worn them out in the snow hunting in Nevada late season, and my boots, my socks, everything was wet, and because I didn't have gaiters on, which I probably should have, but it was kind of nice to test them in that environment. and my pants were dry, but my boots and socks were pretty wet. So it's just nice being able to go through those varied environments and they still perform.
So I've had these things for like a week and a half, and I got to say the t-shirt is super, super comfortable, by the way, too. So I don't know if that's made in America or not, but very comfortable t-shirt. And thank you very much for the shirt.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. So the t-shirt, all the materials are sourced in America, and then the company, some of them are made in America, some are not. It just depends on where they're shipping them and stuff like that. The nice thing about that company is, like I said, the material's all made in America, but they, if anybody cares, they pay like a living wage to these other countries. They pay a pretty high dollar. I mean, it's a nice quality shirt. It's super comfortable, but it's a t-shirt, so that wasn't.
Yeah, but it speaks to your character, Jason, that you chose to do business with American manufacturers with the textiles, and that even where you can, you're making an effort to put Americans to work and kind of do your part to keep the dollar here. And I personally appreciate that, and I vote a lot with my dollars, so it's refreshing to hear, and I personally appreciate that. I know the podcast kind of has a little bit of a theme that we like to stick to, and American Made is definitely one of those. And I really I really thank you for helping me kind of launch that portion of the podcast.
Yeah, it's super important to me. I don't know, just being in the military, just growing up in the Midwest, and those type of values and everything. It's just, I wish more manufacturing was here, and I don't want to say I'm going to lead the charge or anything, but I'm going to do what I can to help people here. And it's just, you get better quality stuff. People care here. People work hard and they care. So
they do. And they're not under, you talk about, the t-shirt company that you use to manufacture the shirt, they pay a livable wage in these other countries. Apple doesn't do that. So, there's the other side of the spectrum, and I just want to highlight those types of things and partner with those types of companies. So I can't thank you enough. So why don't we get into a little bit about the promotion you're going to offer our listeners? So I think you said you were going to give them 10%, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm happy to give everybody that comes to the podcast and reaches out, and I'll give them 10% off. They can order as much as they want, as many times as they want, whatever they want to do. It'll be there for them. So
rock on. I really appreciate that. And we'll include all that information in the show notes, and, we'll get a promo code assigned here and information on how the listeners can get to your product. And I'll be sending some stuff out on social media as well. So that's awesome. I can't thank you enough. They are an expensive pair of pants, and, I just personally, it's, made in America, and I'm willing to pay more for that. And then after getting a chance to ride in the truck with these and then get outdoors for a couple days, they speak for themselves, and there's definitely a value here. So I really appreciate you giving our listeners a little bit of a discount on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we might as well wrap up the show with kind of, what do you got going on this fall?
It'll just be, I don't have any plans to get out of state except for Nevada. I'm usually hunting in between Nevada and California.
I guess maybe a better question is what do you prefer hunting out there, valley quail or chucker?
So I was
or am I missing one?
Valley quail. No, well, and we have mountain quail that I hunt as well.
That's right, yeah.
So I usually do mountain quail early season. I try to stay away from the rattlesnakes, so I'll do mountain quail early season until it gets a little cooler, and then I'll go down for valley quail. And then a couple of years ago, I got my first chance to go to Nevada and hunt chukar. And by far, it's my favorite. I hunted more, I think, in Nevada last year than I did in California. And I think it takes me back to my time in the wildland firefighting. Like, I love going up and down mountains, and the harder it is, the more I like it. So chukar is just another animal.
There's some sick individuals like you out there. I don't mind it so much. There's more nostalgia in it for me, but boy, oh boy, after a couple days of elk hunting and going, damn, you got to go all the way over there. And,
and then you got to chase them way over there.
I could see how I could only handle a couple days of chukar hunting.
Yeah, I don't know why. I kind of fell in love, and it's just, I don't know. It's beautiful out there, even though it's desolate. Maybe that's why I like it so much too. It's just desolate. You can get away. You can just be at peace, out there, be in the environment.
I don't know much about Nevada. What is the landscape that you guys how high are the mountains, and, what's the kind of elevation change that you guys are using or going through to chase these birds?
Yeah, it varies throughout the season. So once it starts snowing, they'll come down a little bit further. But it's basically, you find water and you can find chukar. It's just varied. You can kind of just drive through Nevada and you pick a mountain and there's going to be chukar on it. It's just finding that water.
Yeah. Is it the things that I've seen of Nevada outside of, the Strip and Vegas and Reno, it's pretty arid.
It's pretty arid.
Is there much for tree cover at all on these mountains? Not
really. Some areas there are tree cover because there's a ton of valley quail in Nevada as well, and there's some mountain quail too. But there's not much tree cover. It's just brush and rock and steep hills. And it's all shale too. So, a lot of it is. So you'll have shale screeds. You're falling down constantly. It's brutal. It's pretty brutal.
It's not for the faint of heart. That's for certain.
Yeah, not for the. I've had a couple friends that wanted to go, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to take you.
Yeah, I have my reservations about chukar hunting. I think I could handle a couple of the other quail species out there, but I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. I'll be out there soon. I know that.
Oh,
maybe not this season, but next.
I think you'll love it. It's just so peaceful. I think, like I said, I think that's kind of what drew me to it. There's just nothing around. And
solitude.
It's solitude. You can go out there. I've gone out there plenty of times, and I'm not the best shotgun shot in the world, and it just doesn't matter to me. It's so nice just being out there.
Well, I know not to count on you to fill my, bird limit, because I'm not a very good shot either sometimes.
It's kind of weird. So, just a little more background. So I was a weapons instructor in the military for a long time. I can shoot a rifle any day, all day, and I can shoot pretty damn good. You put a shotgun in my hand for whatever reason, I don't know if because I'm so used to shooting a rifle that I still try to shoot a shotgun like a rifle, or what it is. I can shoot a bow at a turkey all day long. I can shoot a bow at a deer, and perfectly fine. I'll hit my target.
My good buddy Jeff, he's actually going to be coming on the podcast here as doing some guest hosting for me, which will be really cool. But he's a really good wing shot, and to the point where I'm almost embarrassed to hunt next to him sometimes. And he's like, you know what you're doing, and it's a good advice. Have a buddy watch you on the next covey rise. Because I was a really good rifle shot too, and always have been. But when the covey rise, especially on the second shot, I don't know why, it's like I'm looking to get my cheek off the stock of the gun, and I raise my head up and when I shoot, and my sight picture isn't the same, and I miss every time on that second shot when I do it. And he's like, I watched you do it while we were in Kansas, and he's got like 7 birds in the vest, and I've got 1 pheasant. And I shot a half box of shells at quail, and I'm kind of down on myself. And he's like, you're lifting your head off like, this is the 3rd time I've told you, stop doing it. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't help it. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, I've tried to do little things like that. Like, I know I'm doing something wrong and I'll try to correct it. But in the moment, it's just like, it happens. It's hard. It's so hard to fix old habits, I guess, and old ways.
Yeah, they always have said, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but
that's right.
That's kind of how I feel about more than one thing in my life sometimes. Accounting seems to be one of those, but that's a whole nother story. Well, hey, in wrapping up here, is there really anything that you'd like to close in? I'd like to give you a little bit of a stand, just to last minute sales pitch, and I'm going to be ranting and raving about these things for weeks and months ahead. So the listeners are only going to have a shot unless I can peg you down again another day. So why don't you give us a little bit more if you have anything else to wrap up with?
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is give them a shot. And I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed. If you get them and you put them on and you don't like them, send them back to me. But I know, as I've told you, if you get them, you're going to love them. And, it's the hard thing about selling online is you can't go to a store and try them on. So people might be hesitant because they're expensive, but you're paying for American made. You're paying for American made products, American made materials, and it's quality and it's worth it.
I can't agree anymore. Well, Jason, that's all I need from you tonight. I'm going to get this thing out. We'll be in touch in the next few days. Thank you so much for sponsoring and being a part of the the Amaazen Outdoors podcast and making American made product. I appreciate everything you're doing for me and the listeners. So thank you so much. You have a good night. And
yep, you as well. And I appreciate you.
Awesome, man. We'll talk soon.